Chapter 1. The scorching desert sun beat down on the barren landscape of the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. Dr. Lena Novak, an astrobiologist, wiped the sweat from her brow as she trekked through the rugged terrain. Her research team had been investigating the unique microbial life that thrived in this harsh environment, hoping to unlock secrets that could help humanity survive the impending climate crisis. As Lena reached the base camp, her colleague, Dr. Marcos Rojas, rushed to greet her with a sense of urgency in his eyes. "Lena, you need to see this," he said, his voice trembling with excitement and trepidation. Inside the makeshift laboratory, Lena peered through a microscope at the sample Marcos had prepared. What she saw defied all scientific explanation, a complex, crystalline structure that pulsed with an eerie bioluminescent glow. "What is it?" Lena asked, her heart racing as she tried to comprehend the implications of their discovery. Marcos shook his head. "I don't know, but it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. It seems to be alive." Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The equipment rattled on the tables, and the lights flickered ominously. Lena and Marcos exchanged a worried glance before rushing outside to investigate. As they emerged from the lab, their eyes widened in disbelief. The desert floor had split open, revealing a gaping chasm that stretched as far as the eye could see. An otherworldly light emanated from the depths, casting an eerie glow across the landscape. Lena's mind raced with possibilities. Could this be the key to unlocking the secrets of extraterrestrial life, or had they stumbled upon something far more dangerous? Before they could process the gravity of their discovery, a deafening roar echoed from the chasm. A massive, alien creature emerged from the depths, its form unlike anything they had ever seen. It fixed its glowing eyes upon the two scientists, and in that moment, Lena knew their lives would never be the same. As the creature advanced towards them, Lena and Marcos found themselves face to face with the unknown, their scientific curiosity giving way to a primal fight-or-flight response. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the secrets buried beneath the Atacama Desert were about to be revealed. Chapter 2. Lena and Marcos stood frozen in place, their hearts pounding as the alien creature loomed over them. Its crystalline exoskeleton glimmered in the desert sun, and its eyes pulsed with an otherworldly intelligence. Lena's mind raced, trying to make sense of what she was seeing, but nothing in her years of scientific training could have prepared her for this moment. The creature took a step forward, and the ground shook beneath its massive weight. Marcos grabbed Lena's arm, his voice urgent. "We need to get back to the lab now." They turned to run, but the creature moved with surprising speed, blocking their path. It let out a low, rumbling sound that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. Lena's breath caught in her throat as she realized the creature was trying to communicate. "Wait," she said, holding up her hand. "I think it's trying to tell us something." Marcos looked at her incredulously. "Lena, we don't know what this thing is capable of. We need to get help." But Lena couldn't shake the feeling that this creature held the key to unlocking the mysteries they had been searching for. She took a tentative step forward, her heart racing as she met the creature's gaze. To her surprise, the creature lowered its head, its eyes softening as it regarded her. Lena reached out a trembling hand, and the creature remained still, allowing her to touch its shimmering exoskeleton. In that moment, a flood of images and sensations washed over Lena's mind. She saw a world unlike anything she had ever imagined, a planet teeming with life, where the very fabric of reality seemed to bend and twist. She saw the creature's kind, a race of beings who had mastered the secrets of the universe, and she knew that they had come to Earth for a reason. As the visions faded, Lena found herself back in the desert, her hand still resting on the creature's crystalline form. Marcos stood beside her, his eyes wide with wonder and fear. "What did you see?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lena took a deep breath, trying to make sense of the revelations that had just been imparted to her. "I think they're here to help us," she said, her voice filled with a newfound sense of purpose. "But we have to be willing to listen and learn from them." The creature let out a soft, melodic sound, and Lena knew that it had understood her words. She looked back at the gaping chasm, realizing that their journey was only just beginning. As they prepared to descend into the unknown, Lena and Marcos knew that they were on the brink of a discovery that could change the course of human history. The secrets buried beneath the Atacama Desert were about to be revealed, and the fate of humanity rested in their hands. Chapter 3. As Lena and Marcos descended into the chasm, the walls of the cave seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. The air grew thick and heavy, and the only light came from the soft, bioluminescent glow of the crystalline structures that lined the walls. Lena felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if the very essence of the cave was seeping into her skin. She glanced at Marcos, who seemed to be experiencing the same thing. His eyes were wide with wonder and trepidation. "Do you feel that?" Lena whispered, her voice echoing in the stillness of the cave. Marcos nodded, his hand reaching out to touch one of the glowing crystals. As his fingers brushed against the smooth surface, a jolt of energy surged through his body, and he stumbled back, gasping. "What was that?" he asked, his voice shaking. Lena shook her head, her mind racing with possibilities. "I think this place is alive," she said, her voice filled with awe. "And it's trying to communicate with us." As they continued deeper into the cave, the walls began to shift and change, revealing intricate patterns and symbols that seemed to dance before their eyes. Lena felt a pull, as if the cave was guiding her towards something. Suddenly, they emerged into a vast chamber, its walls lined with towering crystals that pulsed with a soft blue light. In the center of the room stood a massive structure, its surface shimmering with an iridescent sheen. Lena and Marcos approached the structure cautiously, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they drew closer, the structure began to unfold, revealing a complex network of tubes and chambers that seemed to be alive with energy. "What is this place?" Marcos breathed, his voice filled with wonder. Lena shook her head, her mind struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. "I think it's some kind of interface," she said, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns on the structure's surface. "A way for the creatures to communicate with us." As she spoke, a soft melodic sound filled the chamber, and the structure began to glow with a pulsing light. Lena felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if the structure was trying to impart some kind of knowledge or understanding. She closed her eyes, allowing the sensations to wash over her. Images flashed through her mind, visions of the creatures, the homeworld, of the vast, interconnected network of life that spanned the galaxy. She saw the creatures' purpose, the reason they had come to Earth. When she opened her eyes, Lena found herself standing before the structure, her hand resting on its surface. Marcos stood beside her, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder. "They're here to help us evolve," Lena said, her voice filled with a newfound sense of purpose. "To guide us towards a higher level of consciousness and understanding." Marcos looked at her, his face a mix of skepticism and hope. "How can you be sure?" he asked, his voice trembling. Lena smiled, her eyes shining with a strange, otherworldly light. "Because they showed me," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "And now it's up to us to share their message with the world." As they turned to leave the chamber, Lena and Marcos knew that their lives would never be the same. They had been chosen to be the messengers of a new era, to bridge the gap between humanity and the vast, unknowable wonders of the universe. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with the knowledge and purpose that had been bestowed upon them in the depths of the Atacama Desert. Chapter 4. As Lena and Marcos emerged from the depths of the chasm, the desert's sun felt harsh and unforgiving compared to the ethereal glow of the crystalline chamber. They squinted against the bright light, their minds still reeling from the revelations they had just experienced. Lena clutched the small, pulsing crystal that the structure had given her, feeling its warmth and energy coursing through her body. She knew that this tiny fragment held the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe and the path to humanity's future. Marcos, on the other hand, seemed more hesitant. "Lena, are you sure about this?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. "We don't know what these creatures want or what their true intentions are." Lena turned to him, her eyes blazing with conviction. "I know it seems overwhelming, but I saw their world, Marcos. I felt their purpose. They're not here to harm us. They want to guide us, to help us evolve beyond our current limitations." Marcos sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I want to believe you, Lena, but we need proof. Something tangible to show the world that this isn't just some crazy hallucination." Lena nodded, understanding his hesitation. "You're right. We need to study this crystal, analyze its properties, and find a way to communicate with the creatures more directly." As they made their way back to the research base camp, Lena's mind raced with possibilities. She knew that unlocking the secrets of the crystal would require all of her scientific expertise and intuition. Back at the camp, Lena and Marcos wasted no time in setting up a makeshift lab. They worked tirelessly, running tests and simulations, trying to decipher the crystal's complex structure and energy signatures. Days turned into weeks, and the rest of the research team grew increasingly curious about their secretive work. Lena and Marcos knew that they couldn't keep their discovery hidden forever, but they needed more time to understand its implications. As they delved deeper into the crystal's mysteries, Lena began to experience strange dreams and visions. She saw glimpses of the creature's world, of vast cities and advanced technologies that defied human comprehension. In these visions, Lena also saw the challenges that humanity would face in the coming years: environmental disasters, social unrest, and the looming threat of self-annihilation. She realized that the creature's message was not just one of hope, but also of warning. Lena knew that she and Marcos had a responsibility to share this knowledge with the world, to help guide humanity towards a brighter future. But she also knew that there would be those who would resist, who would cling to the old ways of thinking and being. As the sun set over the Atacama Desert, Lena stood at the edge of the chasm, the crystal pulsing softly in her hand. She closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the task ahead. "We have to be strong," she whispered, as much to herself as to Marcos. "We have to trust in the path that has been laid out for us." Marcos nodded, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "Together," he said, his voice filled with determination. Lena smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. She knew that the journey ahead would be filled with challenges and obstacles, but she also knew that with Marcos by her side and the guidance of the creatures, they could face anything. And so, as the stars began to flicker in the night sky, Lena and Marcos set out to change the world, one revelation at a time. Chapter 5. The sun had barely risen over the Atacama Desert when Lena and Marcos received an unexpected visitor at their research base camp. Dr. Evelyn Thorne, a renowned physicist and member of the international scientific community, had caught wind of their secretive work and demanded to see their findings. Lena and Marcos exchanged a concerned glance, knowing that they weren't ready to share their discovery with the world just yet. But Dr. Thorne was insistent, and they knew that denying her request would only raise more suspicions. With a heavy heart, Lena led Dr. Thorne into their makeshift lab, where the crystal pulsed softly on a table, surrounded by a tangle of wires and equipment. Dr. Thorne's eyes widened as she approached the crystal, her fingers hovering just above its surface. "What is this?" she breathed, her voice filled with equal parts wonder and trepidation. Lena and Marcos shared their story, recounting their encounter with the alien creature and the revelations they had experienced in the crystalline chamber. Dr. Thorne listened intently, her brow furrowed in concentration. When they had finished, Dr. Thorne leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. "This is incredible," she said at last, "but also extremely dangerous. If what you're saying is true, then this discovery could change the course of human history. We need to proceed with caution." Lena nodded, feeling a sense of relief that someone else understood the gravity of their situation. "We know," she said. "That's why we've been keeping it a secret. We need more time to understand the implications of this discovery before we go public." Dr. Thorne agreed, and together, the three scientists began to devise a plan. They would continue their research in secret, working to decipher the crystal's mysteries and establish a line of communication with the alien creatures. But as they delved deeper into their work, strange things began to happen around the base camp. Equipment malfunctioned, readings fluctuated wildly, and Lena's visions became more intense and vivid. One night, as Lena slept fitfully in her bunk, she was jolted awake by a searing pain in her chest. She sat up, gasping for air, and realized that the crystal was pulsing more brightly than ever before. Lena stumbled out of bed and made her way to the lab, where she found Marcos and Dr. Thorne hunched over a computer screen, their faces illuminated by an eerie blue glow. "What's happening?" Lena asked, her voice trembling. Marcos looked up, his eyes wide with excitement. "We've made contact," he said. "The creatures, they're speaking to us." Lena approached the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. There on the monitor was a swirling pattern of lights and colors, pulsing in time with the crystal's rhythms. As she watched, the pattern began to shift and change, forming intricate geometric shapes and symbols that seemed to dance across the screen. Lena felt a sudden rush of understanding, as if the secrets of the universe were unfolding before her eyes. "They're showing us the way," she whispered, her voice filled with awe, "the path to humanity's future." Dr. Thorne nodded, her face etched with determination. "We have to follow it," she said, "no matter where it leads." And so, as the desert winds howled outside the base camp, Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne set out on a journey that would take them beyond the boundaries of human knowledge and into the very heart of the cosmos itself. Chapter 6. As the trio set out on their journey, guided by the pulsing crystal and the intricate patterns it displayed, they found themselves venturing deeper into the heart of the Atacama Desert. The alien structure had shown them a path, and they followed it with a sense of purpose and determination. The desert landscape seemed to shift and change around them, as if responding to the crystal's energy. The air shimmered with an otherworldly glow, and strange, iridescent plants began to sprout from the barren soil. Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne pressed on, their eyes fixed on the horizon. They knew that the journey ahead would be perilous, but they also knew that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. As they walked, Lena's mind was filled with visions of the future that the crystal had shown her. She saw cities that reached to the stars, powered by clean, limitless energy. She saw humanity united in a common purpose, working together to explore the furthest reaches of the cosmos. But she also saw the challenges that lay ahead. The crystal had shown her glimpses of a world ravaged by climate change, of wars fought over dwindling resources, and of a society torn apart by inequality and strife. Lena knew that the path to a brighter future would not be an easy one, but she also knew that the creatures who had sent the crystal were there to guide them, to help humanity overcome the obstacles that lay ahead. As the sun began to set over the desert, Lena and her companions came to a sudden halt. Before them, rising out of the sand like a mirage, was a massive, crystalline structure that pulsed with the same otherworldly energy as the crystal they carried. The structure was unlike anything they had ever seen before, a twisting, turning mass of translucent spires and arches that seemed to defy the laws of physics. As they approached, the structure began to glow more brightly, as if beckoning them forward. Lena reached out and touched the structure's surface, feeling a surge of energy course through her body. In that moment, she knew that they had reached a turning point in their journey. The structure opened up before them, revealing a vast, cavernous interior that was filled with a soft, pulsing light. Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne stepped inside, their eyes wide with wonder. As they explored the structure's winding corridors and chambers, they began to discover more about the creatures who had sent the crystal. They found intricate carvings and symbols etched into the walls, depicting a rich history of a civilization that had reached the pinnacle of technological and spiritual advancement. But they also found warnings, dire predictions of the challenges that humanity would face in the coming years. The creatures had seen the potential for greatness in humanity, but they had also seen the potential for destruction. As Lena and her companions delved deeper into the structure's mysteries, they knew that they had a choice to make. They could use the knowledge and technology they had gained to help guide humanity towards a brighter future, or they could let it fall into the wrong hands and watch as the world tore itself apart. With a sense of purpose and determination, Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne emerged from the structure, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They knew that the journey would be long and difficult, but they also knew that they had the power to shape the future of humanity itself. As they set out across the desert once more, the crystal pulsing softly in Lena's hand, they knew that they were no longer just scientists on a research mission. They were the guardians of a new era, the ones who would lead humanity towards its ultimate destiny among the stars. Chapter 7. As Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne emerged from the crystalline structure, they felt a newfound sense of purpose and responsibility. The warnings and predictions they had discovered within the alien construct weighed heavily on their minds, but they knew that they could not let fear or doubt cloud their judgment. The desert around them seemed to have transformed, the once barren landscape now teeming with strange, luminescent flora that pulsed in rhythm with the crystal's energy. The air itself felt charged with a sense of anticipation, as if the very fabric of the universe was waiting for their next move. Lena clutched the crystal tightly in her hand, feeling its warmth and power radiating through her body. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges and obstacles, but she also knew that she had the strength and determination to overcome them. As they set out across the desert once more, Lena's mind raced with the implications of their discovery. The technology and knowledge they had gained from the alien structure could revolutionize every aspect of human society, from energy production to space exploration. But she also knew that such power could be dangerous in the wrong hands. Marcos and Dr. Thorne walked beside her, their faces set with grim determination. They had seen the same visions and warnings as Lena, and they knew that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. As they journeyed deeper into the heart of the Atacama, they began to notice signs of the challenges that lay ahead. The sky above them grew dark and stormy, and the ground beneath their feet began to tremble with a low, ominous rumble. Suddenly, a massive fissure opened up before them, its edges jagged and pulsing with an eerie red light. Lena and her companions stopped short, their eyes wide with fear and amazement. From the depths of the fissure, a swarm of strange, insectoid creatures emerged, their bodies covered in shimmering, iridescent scales. The creatures moved with a speed and agility that seemed impossible, their wings beating the air with a deafening buzz. Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne stood their ground, the crystal pulsing with an intense, blinding light. The creatures seemed to hesitate for a moment, as if sensing the power that emanated from the trio. And then, to their amazement, the creatures began to change. Their scales shifted and morphed, their bodies elongating and transforming until they stood before the humans as tall, slender beings with luminous, almond-shaped eyes. The leader of the beings stepped forward, its voice a melodic whisper that seemed to echo through the very air around them. "We have been waiting for you," it said, its gaze fixed on Lena and the crystal she held. "The path ahead is treacherous, but you must not falter. The future of your species depends on it." Lena nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that the beings before her held the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe, and that she and her companions had been chosen for a reason. As the beings led them forward, deeper into the unknown, Lena felt a sense of calm wash over her. She knew that the journey ahead would be long and difficult, but she also knew that she was not alone. With Marcos and Dr. Thorne by her side and the crystal to guide them, she knew that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so they pressed on, the guardians of a new era, ready to lead humanity towards its ultimate destiny among the stars. Chapter 8. As Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne followed the luminous beings deeper into the heart of the Atacama, the landscape around them began to shift and change. The rocky terrain gave way to a vast, underground cavern, its walls lined with pulsing bioluminescent veins that cast an eerie blue glow over everything. The beings led them through a labyrinth of tunnels, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, as if the very walls themselves were alive and sentient. Finally, they emerged into a massive chamber, its ceiling stretching up into infinity. In the center of the room stood a towering, crystalline structure, its surface shimmering with an iridescent light. Lena felt the crystal in her hand pulse with energy, as if it were responding to the structure before them. The leader of the beings approached the structure, placing its hand on the smooth, glassy surface. Instantly, the chamber was filled with a symphony of sound and color, as if the structure itself were singing. "This is the heart of our civilization," the being said, its voice resonating through the chamber, It is here that we have stored the collective knowledge and wisdom of our species, gathered over countless millennia. Lena stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. She could feel the power emanating from the structure, a force that seemed to reach out and touch her very soul. "What must we do?" she asked, her voice trembling with emotion. The being turned to face her, its luminous eyes fixed on the crystal in her hand. "You must use the crystal to unlock the secrets of the structure," it said. "Only then will you be able to access the knowledge and technology that will guide your species towards its ultimate destiny." Lena nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. She approached the structure, holding the crystal out before her. As she drew closer, the crystal began to glow with an intense, blinding light, its energy pulsing in time with the structure's song. And then, suddenly, everything went still. The chamber was plunged into darkness, and Lena felt a rush of cold air wash over her. She heard Marcos and Dr. Thorne gasp in surprise, their voices echoing in the stillness. When the light returned, Lena found herself standing in a vast, holographic projection of the universe itself. Stars and galaxies swirled around her, their light casting a soft, ethereal glow over everything. And there, hovering before her, was a vision of Earth itself, its continents and oceans laid out in exquisite detail. Lena could see the challenges that lay ahead for her species, the rising sea levels, the devastating storms, the wars and conflicts that threatened to tear humanity apart. But she could also see the potential for greatness, the countless worlds that lay waiting to be explored and colonized. And she knew, with a certainty that filled her very being, that this was the path that she and her companions had been chosen to walk. As the vision faded, Lena found herself back in the chamber, the crystal still pulsing with energy in her hand. She turned to face Marcos and Dr. Thorne, her eyes shining with determination. "We have work to do," she said, her voice filled with purpose. "The future of our species depends on it." And with that, they set out once more, the guardians of a new era, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The secrets of the universe were within their grasp, and they would stop at nothing to unlock them, no matter the cost. Chapter 9. As Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne emerged from the underground cavern, the weight of their newfound knowledge and responsibility settled upon their shoulders. The crystal, now pulsing with a steady, ethereal glow, served as a constant reminder of the monumental task that lay ahead. They made their way back to the research facility, their minds racing with the implications of what they had witnessed. The holographic projection of the universe had shown them the potential for greatness, but also the challenges that humanity would face in the coming years. Dr. Thorne immediately set to work, analyzing the data from the crystal and the information they had gathered from the luminous beings. Lena and Marcos, meanwhile, began to formulate a plan of action, knowing that time was of the essence. As they worked, news began to trickle in from around the world. Strange phenomena were being reported, from massive electrical storms to unexplained celestial events. It seemed that the arrival of the luminous beings had set something in motion, a chain reaction that threatened to upend the delicate balance of the universe itself. Lena knew that they needed to act fast. She reached out to her contacts in the scientific community, urging them to join forces in the face of this global crisis. Slowly but surely, a coalition began to form. A group of brilliant minds from all corners of the globe, united in their determination to unlock the secrets of the universe and guide humanity towards its ultimate destiny. But even as they made progress, new challenges emerged. There were those who feared the power that Lena and her companions now wielded, those who sought to use the technology for their own selfish ends. And then there were the skeptics, those who dismissed the entire affair as nothing more than a hoax or a delusion. Through it all, Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne remained steadfast in their resolve. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but they also knew that they had been chosen for a reason. They were the guardians of a new era, the ones who would light the way for humanity as it took its first tentative steps into the unknown. As they worked late into the night, the crystal glowing softly in the darkness, Lena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder. She had always known that the universe was vast and mysterious, but now she understood just how much there was still to discover. And with each passing day, as they drew closer to unlocking the secrets of the crystal and the knowledge it contained, Lena felt a growing sense of hope and determination. They would face the challenges ahead, no matter how daunting they might seem. They would fight for the future of their species and for the countless wonders that lay waiting to be discovered. The road ahead was long and uncertain, but Lena knew that they would walk it together, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding. And as the crystal pulsed with energy, a beacon of hope in the darkness, she knew that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. Chapter 10. As the strange phenomena continued to escalate worldwide, Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne found themselves at the center of a global crisis. The coalition of scientists they had assembled worked tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of the crystal and the luminous beings, but progress was slow and tensions were running high. Lena found herself thrust into the role of mediator, navigating the delicate politics of the situation while also trying to keep the team focused on their ultimate goal. She spent long hours in meetings and video conferences, arguing passionately for the need to work together in the face of this unprecedented challenge. Marcos, meanwhile, threw himself into the practical aspects of the mission. He worked closely with Dr. Thorne to analyze the crystal's properties, searching for any clues that might help them understand its true nature. Together, they ran countless experiments and simulations, pushing the boundaries of scientific knowledge in their quest for answers. As the days turned into weeks, the team began to make progress. They discovered that the crystal was not just a source of energy, but a kind of cosmic key capable of unlocking the secrets of the universe itself. With each new revelation, they grew more excited, more determined to see their mission through to the end. But even as they made breakthroughs, new obstacles emerged. Rumors began to circulate of a shadowy organization that sought to seize control of the crystal for its own nefarious purposes. Lena and her team found themselves the targets of sabotage and intimidation as dark forces worked to undermine their efforts at every turn. Through it all, the team remained united, bound together by their shared sense of purpose and their unwavering commitment to the greater good. They knew that the stakes were higher than ever, and that the fate of humanity itself hung in the balance. As the final pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, Lena felt a growing sense of anticipation and dread. She knew that they were on the cusp of something truly incredible, but she also knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. One evening, as she sat alone in her office, staring out at the stars, she felt a sudden surge of determination wash over her. She knew that she was ready for whatever lay ahead, ready to face the challenges and seize the opportunities that the universe had in store. With renewed energy, she gathered the team together and laid out her plan. They would press forward, no matter the cost, no matter the risk. They would unlock the secrets of the crystal and use its power to guide humanity towards a brighter future. As they set to work, the crystal pulsing with an otherworldly energy, Lena felt a sense of purpose and clarity that she had never experienced before. She knew that they were on the cusp of something truly incredible, and that the journey ahead would be one for the ages. The clock was ticking, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. But Lena and her team were ready, armed with the power of science and the unbreakable bonds of friendship and love. Together, they would face the unknown, and together, they would emerge victorious. Chapter 11. As the global crisis intensified, Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne found themselves at the center of a maelstrom of chaos and uncertainty. The shadowy organization that sought to control the crystal had redoubled its efforts, launching a series of coordinated attacks on the team's research facilities and personnel. Lena worked tirelessly to keep the team safe, coordinating with government agencies and private security firms to provide round-the-clock protection. She knew that they were up against a formidable adversary, one with seemingly endless resources and a ruthless determination to succeed. Despite the danger, Marcos and Dr. Thorne refused to be deterred. They continued their work on the crystal, delving deeper into its mysteries with each passing day. They discovered that the crystal was not just a key, but a kind of cosmic gateway, capable of opening portals to other dimensions and realities. As they explored this new frontier, they began to encounter strange and wondrous phenomena, from shimmering portals that led to alien worlds to ghostly apparitions that seemed to defy the laws of physics. They knew that they were on the cusp of a breakthrough that could change the course of human history. But even as they made progress, the attacks on the team grew more frequent and more brutal. Lena found herself constantly on the move, shuttling the team from one secure location to another in a desperate bid to stay one step ahead of their enemies. One night, as they huddled together in a dimly lit safe house, Lena made a fateful decision. She knew that they could not continue to run and hide forever. They needed to take the fight to their enemies, to confront them head-on and put an end to their nefarious schemes. With Marcos and Dr. Thorne's help, she devised a plan to lure their adversaries into a trap, using the crystal as bait. They would stage a high-profile demonstration of the crystal's power, knowing that their enemies would not be able to resist the temptation to seize it for themselves. As the day of the demonstration approached, Lena felt a sense of trepidation and excitement. She knew that they were taking a tremendous risk, but she also knew that they had no choice. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and they were the only ones who could tip the scales in favor of humanity. On the morning of the demonstration, Lena, Marcos, and Dr. Thorne arrived at the designated location, a remote desert outpost far from prying eyes. They set up their equipment and prepared to activate the crystal, knowing that their enemies would be watching their every move. As they initiated the sequence, the crystal began to pulse with an intense, blinding light. Suddenly, a shimmering portal appeared before them, a gateway to another world. Lena and Marcos exchanged a glance, their hearts racing with excitement and fear. But before they could step through the portal, they heard the sound of gunfire and explosions. Their enemies had arrived, armed to the teeth and determined to stop them at any cost. Lena and Marcos dove for cover, while Dr. Thorne worked frantically to keep the portal open. As the battle raged around them, Lena and Marcos fought side by side, their love for each other and their commitment to their cause giving them the strength to carry on. They knew that they might not survive this final confrontation, but they also knew that they had no choice but to see it through to the end. With a final burst of energy, they managed to drive their enemies back, securing the crystal and the portal. As they stepped through the shimmering gateway, hand in hand, they knew that they were embarking on a journey that would take them beyond the stars and into the unknown. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their love and their unwavering determination to protect the future of humanity. Chapter 12. As Lena and Marcos stepped through the shimmering portal, they found themselves in a world unlike anything they had ever seen before. The sky was a deep, rich purple, and the landscape was dotted with towering crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with an inner light. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and the sound of strange, haunting music. For a moment, they stood in awe, taking in the breathtaking beauty of this alien world. But they knew that they could not linger long. They had to find a way to harness the power of the crystal and use it to protect their own world from the forces that threatened to destroy it. As they set out to explore this strange new realm, they encountered a variety of alien beings, some friendly and some hostile. They quickly learned that the crystal was revered by many of these beings as a sacred artifact, imbued with the power to shape the very fabric of reality itself. Lena and Marcos knew that they would need to tread carefully if they hoped to unravel the secrets of the crystal and use its power for good. They forged alliances with some of the more benevolent alien factions, learning from their wisdom and their technology. But even as they made progress, they knew that their enemies were not far behind. The shadowy organization that had pursued them on Earth had followed them through the portal, determined to seize the crystal for their own nefarious purposes. Lena and Marcos found themselves embroiled in a desperate struggle for survival, fighting alongside their alien allies against a relentless and ruthless enemy. They pushed themselves to the limit, drawing on all of their skills and their courage to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. As the battle reached its climax, Lena and Marcos realized that the only way to defeat their enemies once and for all was to use the crystal's power to seal the portal and sever the link between their two worlds. They knew that doing so would mean sacrificing their own chance to return home, but they also knew that it was the only way to keep the crystal out of the wrong hands. With heavy hearts, they made their decision. As they activated the crystal's final sequence, they shared one last kiss, pouring all of their love and their devotion into that fleeting moment. Then, with a blinding flash of light, the portal collapsed in on itself, sealing Lena and Marcos in this alien world forever. As the dust settled, Lena and Marcos found themselves alone in a strange and wondrous land, cut off from everything they had ever known. But they knew that they had each other, and they knew that they had the power to build a new life together in this place. Hand in hand, they set out to explore this alien world, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They knew that they might never see their home again, but they also knew that they had found something far more precious, a love that transcended space and time, a bond that could never be broken. And so, beneath the alien sky, Lena and Marcos began their new life together. Two souls united in a love that would echo through the ages, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit.